Well, there's nothing like starting the season with an absolute fizzled out 0-0 draw. Both teams created chances. Both teams could have won it in the end. I don't think neither team was better than the other. Actually a worsened Rangers side for last season, with many passengers. Most notably Ben Davies, who barely kicked a ball. Scott Wright, who
So poor, by the way.
you could definitely replace him with one of the
Aye.
mannequins they use at training. He was fucking worse than a man short. Obviously they bring on Cherny kind of later into the game. Tavernier's eventually able to get a bit further up the park, start creating some chances. It's the best part of Tavernier's game, and we know that, him swinging balls in. With a few chances, of course. Dessers is there to create chances or take good touches, get into good positions, and yet again fail to finish. So it looks like we're going to rewrite last season all over again. And I says actually in the live stream before the game, if we drew this match, it would be a better start than last season. So
Aye.
it looks like we're getting better.
I think again, I think in the middle of the park, right, we saw probably the most change in that team for last season.
Aye.
The energy, the commanding attitude, the likes of Barron, Diamante's quality as well. Lawrence, I think, had a large part of the game was pretty decent. Again, he was the only one willing to take the shots from outside the box, but yet again we're just falling flat up top in that front three, and we've not got much going for us. Dessers again with a kind of lobbed chance that he missed, and I don't see why Danilo never got a chance during that game, because let's be honest, the Dessers yet again was firing blanks.
Now I don't know if Cortez has been carrying an injury actually going into the game, which is just as worrying. I mean, obviously the guy missed the majority. Well, he only barely kicked a ball last season. We take him on an extra year's loan with the obligation to sign. He makes it to 46 minutes. He's done injured. We don't know if he's been carrying a knock or he just twists his knee during the game there. But for me, he's no the answer to the left wing situation either. Not been impressed with him at all in the pre-season. Today, he looked like... Again, I don't want to be too critical if he is carrying an injury, but if he is carrying an injury, then he probably shouldn't be on the park to start with.
No chance.
But let me just say... He gets shown up against this Hearts right back who he shut himself at all day. Every time Cortez got on the ball, he was scared to drive at that guy, try and get round about him. He was constantly slowing the play down, try to cut back inside. Never really offered much for me at all. Some people see it differently. I've seen some people say that maybe Cortez was actually one of the ones that looked decent in the first half. I don't know what game they were watching right enough. But we've got three players in that Rangers team that we can build around, and it's Connor Barron, who I thought actually had a great game, probably one of the only plus points for today. Diamante and Lawrence, and the rest of the team looks very, very stale, very, very worrying. First game in, it's just no cutting edge whatsoever.
No,
and nothing that excites me.
It's the level for me. It's the level of intensity. Like again, we pick and choose when during the game we're going to actually press.
And it's normally the last 4 minutes.
Exactly, and it's as if we need a blatantly obvious trigger to actually go for a press, and that's really what annoys me. On top of that, whenever we get the ball, obviously outside Barron, Diamante, that group of players that we talk about, it's just so flat. It's so flat. It's out of ideas again. It's right that we pick on the likes of Scott Wright, the likes of Cyril Dessers, the likes of James Tavernier, who I thought had an extremely kind of, I say quiet as in, I mean, he was on the ball enough, but he was nowhere near the Tavernier we've seen in
Tavernier
seasons.
can't play his game when Scott Wright's in front of him. No. I don't know what it is. The two of them don't gel. As soon as Scott Wright come off the park, Tavernier was able to get higher. They just don't sync up well. They never have. Predominantly, that's probably Scott Wright's problem. I mean, for me, he was just non-existent the entire duration he was on the park, non-existent. Like I say, they brought on Cherny, who, again, he needs to time to get up to pace. He wasn't on the park for that long. Yet to make any sort of judgments on him. Obviously, I think he's going to be the starter over Scott Wright in the coming weeks and months. It won't be hard at all. But for me, can he just same old story, kind of flat-footed, no creativity whatsoever.
That's the thing.
You're lacking an essential spark that's going to win you games. It's tough to watch.
When we looked at the starting lineup at the start of the game, it was the same players, and looking, online, and our feeling overall as well was that we knew exactly what kind of performance we were going to get. We knew exactly how many times have we been there, done it with this group of players. A lot of them have been shipped on, but there's still a lot of that the kind of fringe of the teams actually starting to bubble through and have to get involved now because the squad's been ripped apart that much, and we're in the middle of this so-called rebuild. We'll make that judgment when the rebuild by the time the transfer window comes, but this is one of those games, and the games coming up, where it's at the stage where we're just going to have to hope. We're going to grind out maximum points. We're going to have to hope that key word is hope. We're going to somehow scrape through these Champions League qualifiers and make an impact in that. But at the same time, see the players we do bring in as well, it puts even more emphasis on them having to be ready to go, match fit.
See, to be honest with you, you're right. I'm just going to say this now. There is no chance that we win. If we continue with this group of players, there is no chance we win the league, right?
Aye.
There is no way that we are even going to be competitive for winning the league. So tell me this, right? How is Sherney no able to start over Scott Wright today? If you're going to resign yourself to the fact that we're not going to win the league, at least try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Give the fans what they're wanting. Put on Sherney for the start. Proper sitting on the fucking sidelines as well. Obviously, he's not even on the bench.
Yep.
But you can't tell me that this boy is no better than Ben Davies.
And as well,
bring him in. Just fucking play them. I would play that in Ciala. I would play that Igman. Just change things about, man.
Aye.
But it's this... we need to stick with the same people and try and lose the game, or things are going to turn. Things are going to turn anyway, because it's the same stale old shite, and a 0-0 draw is not the end of the world, but it's more so looking forward. Why not just change it now? Why not just change it? There's players on that park who are no good enough. So you brought in reinforcements. They might be young. They might not be up to the standard. Who knows? You've not fucking played them in a league game. Play them and see what they're like, because they've got to be better than Ben Davies and fucking Scott Wright.
Well, that's the thing, as well. You know what you're going to get for the Chirrell Dessers. So I just don't understand if you've got a fit Danilo on that bench. I was expecting him. I was hoping he was going to be hooked at half time, because again, you can tell by Dessers in the first few minutes what kind of performance you're going to get, and we don't even need to know. We don't even need to watch the first few minutes, before the game. Everybody knows what we're going to get for Dessers, and you can't tell me that a fit Danilo on the bench, if he is fit enough, that he shouldn't be starting our Dessers. I mean,
well, folk want to say, but Dessers, he does a lot for the team. He works really hard off the ball. He gets into the positions right.
He's
See
not
what
effective.
You got for Cyril Dessers today. That's what you're going to get for him all season.
Aye.
He had chances. Okay, he might even create the chances for himself by making good runs off the ball. I mean, some of his touches are fucking exquisite. Some of his chop backs are exquisite. He's not going to score goals.
He just can't score
He's
goals.
not going to win you games, and you're going to be running out 0-0 first game of the season.
Aye.
This is the difference. We need a clinical striker who can take their chances.
Aye.
And if we don't have that, we need other players out with Tavernier who's going to step up and score goals. We never had it today, but that is exactly what you're going to get for Cyril Dessers. Good chances squandered.
Aye. And it's a kind of... There's... Everybody's been talking about the red flags around about Clement, and yeah, Aye has got the excuse of the fact that the team's still kind of technically ripped apart and he's still in the middle of a rebuild, but at the same time, I feel like during games and especially substitutions, between now and we had those complaints towards the end of last season, which again is hard to say because he had the excuse of so many injuries, but there's sometimes during a game where as fans you can see it, you can feel that it's flat. Certain positions in the team have just fell flat, and we've just been sitting. I mean, Barron came off for Dowell in a period of the game where we needed something different up top. Again, that Danilo change for Cyril Dessers. and instead we got Dowell on for Connor Byrne, who was probably the most energetic, and especially when we're trying to chase again and take the lead in a game. Why take that energy for the middle of the park and
I'll tell you
stick
why.
with-
Surely down to squad depth. I mean, Clement is looking at Barn and going, he is one of the only promising talents that I've got in the park, perhaps even a game changer. But certainly he shows up with the right attitude, Connor Barn. That's why I said again in the pre-match live stream, why do we not sign another 2-3 players like Connor Barn? Do you know what I mean? Because I think we really seen that his capabilities today, for me, he was everywhere, covering every blade of grass. A few mistakes here and there, that's totally fine. He's always working his arse off when he makes a mistake to get the ball back. He comes with that intensity, that physicality. He wants to go on the ball constantly. Doesn't matter if there's 2 or 3 players around him. So why could we no look at another couple of players? Look at the players that Hearts brought in, Danda, Spittle. Why could we not have been looking round about the SPFL for some of the best prospects for last season, picking them up? People who, if you signed them, would have been ready to play first game of the season. No players that are, like Clement said in his pre-match interview, it's going to be 2-3 months before we're up to pace or we're ready. 2-3 months, that's a fucking quarter of the season away. Season's only 10 months. Do you know what I mean? That's a third of the season gone before you're up to a standard. By that point, you're already out the Champions League. You've already lost out on that money, and it's the same old downward spiral for Rangers yet again.
And the thing is, like, I don't see... There's no many teams in this league that I don't, with this current squad, that I don't, I think will no give us a really fucking strong run for our money, because there's obvious gaps in the team. Again, if you come up against Motherwell next week, with Shooter and Davies in the middle of that defence, like, that's going to cause, like, Motherwell's got the opportunity to cause a serious fucking bother, and Hearts caused a serious bother, because, let's be honest, Davies is, I mean,
he looked lost today, man. He looked like a bomb scare, honestly.
He looked soft, he looked lost, he was overcommitting himself a lot of the time, and he ended up just getting turned and skint.
When you've got a player like Davies who's got to overcommit himself, you need that sort of player who, if he's going to make that sort of mistake by overcommitting himself, to have an engine and have pace to then
you need
back
that stopper behind
him.
But
he doesn't have that either. He's no pace to get back once he overcommits. He's no. It doesn't even look like he's got football and IQ. You know what I mean? He's constantly like coming out for the ball when it's no there to be won, getting caught out of position. I mean, Vargas was bullying him up top today, just completely unacceptable for me, and it just shows you how bad he really was, getting whipped off for Balogun, 50 minutes into the game or something like that. And then to top it off, a lack of squad depth. Obviously, you've got this midweek Champions League qualifier. We're going to potentially have 4 games midweek in the Champions League. So it's going to be, for Clement to come out and say that the players are not going to be, sort of up to the standard that he wants, so they're not going to be ready to go until 2-3 months into the season. I mean, what good is that?
No.
So I was saying before the game kicked off in the pre-match live stream about this word rebuild just needs to be stripped for the vocabulary, mate, because this is what's really pissing the fans off. I think for you to say Rangers are going to do a rebuild, we need a massive rebuild, and then to show up with a team this season that's arguably worse than what we ended last season with, it's unacceptable. And the fans, I mean, they're angry enough with the serial failure season after season, to then just throw out the word rebuild and to get nothing like a rebuild is just the worst possible way to... It's the worst possible message to send to your fan base. And if we continue like this, man, by the time we get back to Ibrox, the atmosphere is going to be toxic.
To say the least. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, as soon as, like, when we go to Hampden, you know what I mean? You're going to have a much larger, technically, home crowd than you would have done at Ibrox. And honestly, I can't see, with the current players that we've got, anything other than crumbling.
I know, and that's it. And people will go like that, listen to these 2 fucking first game of the season, nothing each draw, it's no the end of the world. But look, we were the same last season when we called it out, when we seen even in pre-season last year as well, it was the same old story. We called it out, we said it how it was, and ultimately we were right. So don't think we're jumping to conclusions. We are saying what we're seeing on the pitch.
Aye.
And what we're seeing on the pitch is flimsy, feeble, it's not going to win you leagues.
Stale, very stale.
What else do you expect for us as fans? Do you know what I mean? Do you
that's
expect us to say, oh, maybe it'll get better? How you can't say it? I don't believe that.
Aye.
Not with these players, at least.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is as well, like, I think the only hope as fans is literally the incomings. I think that's the only thing that we're kind of looking forward to, because let's be honest, with performances like this, we're not going to look forward to the games, but the only kind of thing you've got is who we're going to get in. And let's be honest, like, the clock's ticking, and it's ticking quick, and the games are now coming thick and fast.
But how many signings have we made?
Weekend, midweek.
Made 8 signings. One started.
One in the bench. I know.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm getting to the point, you're like, incomings are obviously going to be at least a partial answer to the question of what the fuck has got to happen here going forward. But also, you want your incomings to have been here and featured the first game of the season. Like we were talking about, there's one clear thing that Rangers have lost, and it's a fear factor. There is not. That Hearts team came out today, went toe-to-toe with us. They were no scared. They never seen like a number of new arrivals, new faces, a strength in the Rangers. Actually, compare the two teams, the Hearts team for last season, the Rangers team for last season, I would say Hearts team strengthened quite substantially and kept their best player in Lawrence Shankland, whereas we have worsened by all accounts.
Well, that's what's so annoying about a rebuild, right? Because, or this so-called rebuild, because if you're having a rebuild, you want to get your business done, as we said, as early as possible, and that means you want to solidify a starting lineup as early as fucking possible. Bring in first team players that are ready to go. Then you can spend the rest of the window. Like, now and again, players that become available, you go for them that you like, that maybe have that potential, but you get your business done first, what you need, and then spend the rest of the window trying to get in, that prospects, promising players that are going to add a bit of quality in terms of depth. But I can't help but feel like this month is just going to be utter chaos, as I say.
And they top it off with a fucking old firm in the first of the next month.
Aye, exactly. End the month, the old firm, and close to close the transfer window. And
again, that's why I'm coming off as so frustrated and so negative, although you're one game into the season, right? It's because I know what Rangers' season is ultimately going to be defined by having won or lost the leagues. Having won or lost the league, the cups are important, but they're never enough in Scotland. And how I see it is this season again is going to be a one-horse race, because we're stumbling first of all against Hearts, who are a good side. They're a difficult side, but it's the manner in which we drop points, and you'll see that'll not be the only time this will happen this season. We will fizzle out like we done last season. We'll fizzle out in games, we'll drop points. There was chances, but let's be honest, it's nowhere near the sort of standard that you would expect for a Rangers team. There was no domination in the game. We maybe had a host of possession, but Hearts had the more dominant chances in the first half. Possession for possession's sake, same old story. There's no cutthroat to this Rangers team.
Well, we always said last season, like, every single match reaction we put up like this, we always solely focused on the performance. Like, that's all they're interested in, and I think folk kind of skew their view in the game when they only look at the scoreline. And to be honest, you could come on and say what Kieran was saying and go, right, it's been first game of the season, 0-0 draw. We didn't think we might get anything for it. We might get beat, like. But the fact we're setting the bar that low, and let's be honest, the players that are in that squad are still most of the squad are still capable of going out and getting a win there. But when you look at the game from a total performance standpoint, you can only think to yourself that this is going to be a much, much tougher month than we thought it was going to be. And we knew it was going to be tough, but with the looks of performances, and we're going on to Tuesday, probably going to see the performance on to Motherwell unless something big changes. I mean, to be honest, I can't see much changing, because you bring a player in at this stage, at this start of the season, without a pre-season, without, training with the team.
They'll not get a sniff for a month.
They'll not get a sniff for at least a couple of weeks, unless we're really fucking desperate, or unless we get a player that is fully ready to go and take command of a game themselves. At the end of the day, like, we're not going to get that.
But see, for me as a fan, I'd take a shot on like that Robin. I mean, captain of FC20, he's in the door, he's a new face, he's supposedly a good experienced player. I would take a fucking chance on that guy at 80% fitness
he's
over a
to
Ben Davis.
Tuesday,
I don't know, he might be 100% fit, but he's also shite. Do you know what I mean? So for us as fans, that's where it gets frustrating, because you're looking at these players and you're realising, wait, we know he's no good enough, but we don't have anything out with him. Oh, but wait, we actually do. We have players that we brought in. Mate, even the young boy for AC Milan and Seara, who I don't even think was on the bench today.
No.
Would you not just take a fucking gamble on
even
him?
that,
shit's got to change.
Even Igmani as well. Like, I know Clement went and said, he's no trained at this level before. Like, fucking hell, we spent £2 million on him.
Just throw him on, see what happens. I mean, it can't be any. Surely it can't be much worse than Dessers
watching
at finishing.
Exactly, watching that front line. Like, see if you would pull a boy at the academy, right, and just plop him into the first team, with the likes of the way McCausland done, you know what I mean? Take the.
I'm not going to look out of place by that much, surely.
I know that you want to protect a player and things like that, but at the end of the day, like, the games are coming thick and fast now, and if we want to get through this month with a half decent chance, then we're going to have to take gambles on players. We're going to have to ask the players that have come in to go, right, you're going to have to step up, and that's the way it is at this club. And to be honest, like, again, like a Cherny, even though he come on and he looks like he gets into the swing of things, again, as you said, as soon as he come on, the positive was Tav could get further up the park. There was a positive change Scott Wright. Like, you could see that clearly, but you could also see Cherny wasn't up to speed. Like, he did look fresh to the squad, but at the end of the day, it was still
but see, the thing is, the quicker you get these new faces in and on the park and a bit of game time, the quicker they will gel,
they will settle.
Let's be honest, there's only such a level they can get to by being run about the squad and training and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Just put them on, even if it's 20 minutes, even the likes of Danilo. That's why I was surprised that he didn't even get a run out. Do you know what? I'll be interested to see on Tuesday night whether actually Dessers just drops out and Danilo goes in, and that's the reason he's just gone 90 minutes a boot because of the midweek Champions League fixtures.
Probably.
I'll be surprised if he drops Dessers completely and puts Danilo in, but we need some more urgency, a bit more creativity up top. So you've got Danilo on the bench. I mean, you got to use the boys, surely. We know what we're going to get with Dessers, and for me, it's not enough. He's not going to score enough goals. He doesn't have enough pace. He gets himself in good positions, but that's not it at the end of the day. And we've seen it cost us games last season as well.
I think on a wee positive, because I want to talk about Lawrence, because I like the look of him. I know he's probably grouped into those outgoings in some people's minds, but I think he played a really strong game. I like his bravery to take a shot from outside the box, which a lot of the time we are trying to walk the ball into the net, and on top of that, his physicality as well, getting on the ball, shielding the ball. It's probably, he was probably one of the only players capable of doing that up the park, because Dessers can't do it. Cortez couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Scott Wright certainly wasn't going to do it, but he looked like the only kind of small glimpse of hope we had in that front line. But at the same time, like, he's still got to prove to us that he's capable of being consistent in that way and not just kind of shying away.
No, look, I've been very impressed with actually Tom Lawrence. I feel like he's turned a new lease of life, even in the pre-season game and stuff like that. I mean, that volley he had for the edge of the box as well, that sums Lawrence up. I mean, some of the shots he can take for the edge of the box.
His technique's brilliant at times.
he's masterful at hitting the target for the edge of the box. He's a good passer. He's physical as well. Now, the only positive, like I say, for this Rangers team, I think, is the three in the middle. It's Lawrence, Diamande and Connor Barron, but that's only 3 players at the end of the day, and you're only going to get so much from them. I thought they were all decent today. I thought probably Connor Barron was man of the match, but Diamande and Lawrence done well also. But I think round about that, I mean, the back four, the 3 up top, very, very weak, very, very worrying. We're going to need at least another, I would probably say 3 players in the door who are ready to go. But even at that, it's going to be too late for the Champions League qualifiers now, because that's us registered a squad for that. Which again is another worrying thing about not doing your business early. These games are worth a fucking fortune.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And we're registering basically a worse team that finished the season last year, which is so disheartening. So it's hard to find positives for that game, because it's honestly like a carbon copy for a lot of the games that we've seen last season.
It was as expected.
And that's the worst of it, really.
Aye, it was as expected.
You're no surprised, but the frustration doesn't get any lessened. Actually, it gets more frustrating as time goes on and you watch performances like that.
Aye, definitely.
And any team could have nicked it, to be honest, but I would say Hearts, certainly, credit where credit's due. I mean, they looked more intense going forward in the counter-attack.
We're lucky Butland's sharp.
Explosive players in that team,
very explosive.
whereas we looked a bit stale. So, I mean, it's going to be, if this is how we're going to go on through the season and looking to the start of next month for the Old Firm and the Champions League qualifiers in between that, it's going to be a really difficult task. There's only so long I think Clement can keep his poker face on. It'll be interesting to see his post-match reaction, what he comes out and says. I don't know. You feel like you're repeating yourself. We spent a whole fucking season doing this shit last year. Do you know what I mean? But what else are you meant to say? What else are you meant to do?
Aye.
This is the predicament that we find ourselves in.
Definitely. So let us know what you think about the opinions we have in the game. Let us know what your opinions are on the game. Remember, the BlueSea channel memberships are available. There's a wee join button up there, or the links in the description. That's next to our socials, and we'll see you next time.